Hello folks, I hope it's all going groovy for you. Today I'm stepping around a suburb of Manchester that isn't usually known as the sort of area that highly regarded and successful musicians live. I'm in Withington, a Manchester suburb originally part of Lancashire until 1904 and situated about 4 miles south of the city centre. Now, as usual, I'll predominantly focus on one music artist in this episode, but I'll also discuss how the cost of living crisis is affecting artists and audiences alike. Withington is a deceptively charming place to live. Yes, like all city areas, it has its share of issues, but as you'll see whilst I step around a few of the streets here, the residents have gone to a lot of trouble to even make the alleyways behind the houses look cute. I'm here on this below freezing cold winter's day discussing Paul Heaton, one of Britain's best singer-songwriters. Speaking of the temperature, the freezing cold has had a temporary detrimental effect on the lens of my camera. Sorry about that. I'll try and focus around that as much as possible. Anyway, back to the focus of this musical steps walk, Paul Heaton. You'll no doubt know Heaton from the 1980s band The Housemartins, and his hugely successful follow-up group, The Beautiful South. And you'll also know, after 2 decades with The Beautiful South, Heaton continued his music career as a solo artist, prior to hooking up again with ex-Beautiful South singer Jackie Abbott from the Sutton Heath area of St Helens, a town geographically closer to Liverpool than Manchester. Heaton often referred to Abbott as the lass from the glass, a reference to the huge Pilkington glass factory in Abbott's hometown of St Helens. Anyway, as you can see as I step around the area, Withington is a very ordinary, predominantly terraced house suburb. In this respect, I think it mimics Heaton's ostensibly diffident, dependable and down-to-earth personality. That said, despite reflecting his personality, Paul Heaton isn't actually originally from Withington. Though often thought to be from Hull, because of the Housemartins connection I guess, Heaton was born on the eastern side of the Wirral, in the town of Bromborough, directly across the River Mersey from the suburbs of southern Liverpool on the 9th of May 1962, and of course that makes him 60 years old at the time of making this video, 2022. Now, earlier in 2022, as a remarkable altruistic gesture, Heaton put £1,000 behind 60 different pubs across the UK, so that the locals from all those different pubs, all 60 of them, could have a drink on him and celebrate his 60th birthday. Now, I don't know, but I'm guessing those pubs weren't chosen at random. I'm guessing those were pubs that Paul Heaton, because he was a big drinker in the past, has frequented a number of times. As I say, I'm guessing, but I reckon it can't be a coincidence. Heaton frequently gives away his own money to help charities, unions and other causes he feels aligned to. So, as you can see, he's not just generous when it comes to alcohol. Anyway, back to Heaton's early life. He didn't stay long at Bromborough as a child. When Heaton was 4 years old, his parents relocated their family to Sheffield, and it was during his time at Sheffield Heaton began supporting Sheffield United Football Club. In fact, Heaton himself became a talented footballer and played more than 700 junior and amateur games. Now, on a darker note, Heaton admitted to later being a member of the infamous Blades business crew and wrote the foreword of a book about that football hooligan firm, written by a former member. After living his junior years in Sheffield, Heaton's family moved again to Chipstead, Surrey, during his adolescent years. Later, after leaving Surrey, Heaton spent time hitchhiking around Europe before moving to Hull in 1983. And it was whilst living in Hull that Heaton formed his first successful band, the Housemartins. After finding success with the Housemartins when he was in his early 20s, and then later receiving huge acclaim with the Beautiful South, Heaton eventually bought a modest £175,000 house here in Withington in 2002. Obviously, it's worth much more than that now, 20 years later. Now, I'll come back to Paul Heaton's life in a moment. First, I'll give you some background to the state of the music industry in 2022, so that you can see why Heaton is not only a great singer-songwriter, but he also has a huge social heart. You'll be aware that the music industry is going through a huge financial upheaval at the moment. Now, I say at the moment, it's been like this since the pandemic, when anyone in the arts was regarded by the government as insignificant. Remember all those government COVID adverts telling pop musicians and, in fact, anyone in the arts industry they should retrain in cyber, rather than hope the government funds them in the same way as the government bunged billions at the middle classes, with huge furlough payments to relax in the garden. Since then, a musician's life hasn't got much easier, since Boris Johnson boasted he'd got COVID done and sent everyone back to work. However, musicians have subsequently found themselves financially fighting to stay afloat. Of course, Brexit hasn't helped either. Owing to Brexit, it is now much more expensive and riddled with red tape for British bands to tour in Europe. So, with all the turmoil decimating their financial standing, you can't blame musicians for now trying to maximise their profits to compensate for all they lost over the last few years. This is one of the reasons why it's become the norm for gig ticket prices to be at least £60 each. Now, clearly not every new band can demand that kind of ticket price. After all, audiences are suffering financially too, and are reluctant, therefore, to spend £60 or more per ticket. It's a catch-22 situation. Musicians need to pay for expensive tours, but audiences can't justify spending at least £120 for a couple of tickets to see a band, when they are struggling to pay their rising energy and food bills at home. From the musician's perspective, the cost of doing their job and putting together a UK tour is becoming increasingly more expensive. The venue needs paying, the touring crew needs paying. This includes the sound team and the lighting team. The management needs paying. The musicians themselves need paying. Once all these costs are covered, the ticket price has to reflect the amount of money required to keep the tour afloat. It wasn't always like this. In the past, touring was seen as a break-even venture that was simply a promotion for the release of a new album. The money from album sales was huge and paid for tours to occur. So, to reiterate, touring was once seen as a break-even necessity to promote albums that brought in considerable amounts of money for the artist. The reverse is true today. The music industry is not like that anymore. Artists are having to constantly think of new ways to earn money from their job. Some established artists are finding other revenue streams to help compensate for their much reduced income. For example, Justin Hawkins, singer-songwriter and guitarist from The Darkness, has created a successful YouTube channel. Some artists rely on selling merch at gigs to help offset the cost of gigging, though that has proved problematic recently, because an increasing amount of venues are now demanding a percentage of the sales. Charlatans frontman Tim Burgess said recently, "Until artists are paid a percentage of the bar take, we should fight the demands of venues to take a percentage of the merch sales at a gig." Burgess is right. Why should a venue skim off a percentage from products such as t-shirts, programs and hats that they didn't provide money up front to produce? Anyway, let's return to the main focus of this Musical Steps episode, Paul Heaton. Heaton has made a significant gesture to his fans in relation to his tour with Jackie Abbott that commenced in late 2022. Rather than follow the perhaps understandable trend of charging in the region of £80 a ticket to see him gig, he has insisted tickets remain as close as possible to £30 each. Of course, that's a fantastic gesture to his fans. Heaton said he trimmed away as much profit as manageable to make the tour viable. Though, it must be noted, some ungrateful fans still found a way to criticise Heaton because the parking charges outside the venues was high. How on earth do those ungrateful fans think Heaton can do anything about that, or indeed, think it's his responsibility? This isn't the first time Heaton has been very generous with his money to help out a struggling society. Over the years, he's donated large sums of money to unions to support struggling members, whilst also standing on their picket lines in a show of solidarity. He once even cancelled a gig in America because he would not cross a picket line. And that particular gig was a Make It Big in America gig. But he had no qualms, he just cancelled. It went against his principles. Another sign of his generosity is when he and Jackie Abbott announced a free concert for NHS workers. He also donated a considerable sum to the UK magazine Q that closed down fairly recently. He donated a considerable sum to help the redundant journalists in their time of need.
Hello Ted, hello Q staff, etc. I just wanted to thank you very much for my award. You didn't have to do that, it's ever so kind of you. And I'll show you in a minute where I'm going to put it. Thanks for your tweet and all your really kind words. It was just meant, as I said in the emails that were forwarded, it was just meant to make sure that people weren't left on their arse. And I know you yourself, Ted, would have been incredibly upset at it closing and upset for your staff and whatever. And I am as well.
So, as you can see, not only is Paul Heaton a great singer-songwriter, his heart is in the right place too. Is there more than two? I've seen number 1 and number 2 passage.
I don't know. I think because there's the one round.
I've just been to one across there, and then there's number 2.
I wonder if number 3 is.
Is there a number 3?
I'm not sure off the top of my head, but it could well be down at the end, kind of coming round, if you know what I mean, because it seems like it's this direction, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I wonder if down the end is number 3. Where was number 1? Is that's number 1?
Just opposite, yeah.
Ah. Yeah, I wonder. I don't know. I've never actually thought about it.
Okay. Well, I'll go to there. And
yeah.
See what it's
Good stuff. Are you from round here?
Originally, yeah.
Oh, right,
but
okay.
Not at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Just like doing little videos for YouTube and things like that.
Oh, very good. What's your name? I'll look out for you on YouTube.
Musical Steps.
Musical Steps. Yeah. Oh, good stuff. Are you a musician yourself?
Yeah. It's all music based. So I walk around IE steps.
Okay.
Steps, so
yeah.
Because this area is, I wouldn't say rich with musical history.
There's there are some quite a bit. I'm a musician myself. I'm the director of music at the church St Paul's in Withington, and I do other bits of teaching and stuff. So but I think somewhere around here, maybe towards Fallowfield, the composer John Ireland, his family used to live round there. And Mendelssohn, when he was visiting Manchester doing the first performance of Elijah, he had family who lived relatively locally, or family friends who lived relativally locally. So I think there is a history stretching back.
There's more to it in terms of the classical side than I anticipated.
But of course the popular music side, there's loads as well.
Yeah,
good stuff. Anyway, I better get on. But nice to meet you.
Yes,
Musical Steps. I'll look out for you.
If you search, if you can't find it immediately, just look up, say Ian Brown or who else? Morrissey.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you'll probably find it, Musical Steps.
Brilliant. Yeah.
It might be. I can't remember if it's Musical Note Steps actually.
Okay.
I changed the name last night.
Okay. I'll have a little look round anyway.
All right. Cheers now.
Every time I think of it, I see your disgrace, your disgrace. You bring the sun to my heart. I don't wanna be apart from you. That day I saw your face, and every time I think of it, I see your disgrace, boy.
I know you know I love you for life, girl.
That day I saw your face, that day I saw your face,
though it seems my seamless love, it's not enough to hold you in my arms now. Only dreams are not enough.
I don't wanna ever be apart, be apart.
It's not enough to hold you in my arms now. Only dreams are not enough.
I don't wanna ever be apart, Grace boy.
I know you know I love you for life, girl.
That day I saw your face, that day I saw your face,
Though it seems my seamless love, it's not enough to hold you in my arms now. Only dreams are not
I
enough.
don't wanna ever be apart,
Right, I'll finish this walk around Withington now, and I'll talk to you again.